Hi, gang. Hello, hello. First CNN program of 2025 coming up at 9 a.m. today. I'm going over my commentary. This is a little bonus material because I've started a few minutes early, but I'm going over my commentary that I'm going to deliver on television today. And I think this is going to work. I spoke on radio this week with audio and talked about the juxtaposition of the two press conferences after these two high profile, I'll say catastrophic incidents that we saw on New Year's Day. First in New Orleans, 14 people dead, the guy who rammed his truck down Bourbon Street and was ISIS inspired. And then later that day, the active military member who seemingly now it was a suicide at the Trump International Hotel in Vegas, but because of the way in which he did it, by shooting himself and then exploding a Tesla Cybertruck. People wondering whether the two are linked. Both use the same app, both in the military, spent some time at Fort Bragg, but law enforcement believing they are not connected directly. But what I said on radio is that the two press conferences that followed, two in particular, because there have been a number of press conferences, were a study in contrasts, where in New Orleans, it was 9 different speakers and many more people than that, lots of them politicians, the governor, a U.S. senator, a member of Congress, with a lot of sharp elbows. And the comparison is that there were 3 speakers in Las Vegas: the sheriff, a representative of the FBI, and a representative of the ATF. And interestingly, during the presser, the sheriff who conducted it, McMahill, I think is his name. I'll get it right on TV. He says, I've asked the fire chief to speak, but he really doesn't have anything to add at this moment. If he does, then, he'll have something to say too. In other words, no politicians, no sharp elbows, no political invective like Senator Kennedy did in the case of New Orleans. And instead, I think everything those press conferences, which happen all too often because there's so much catastrophe and gun violence in this country, everything that they should have been. They were cops in uniforms and prosecutors just telling the public what they knew at the time. And I think it's going to work on television if I actually show what I'm talking about. And I have to say, this is one of those subjects that I've long wanted to comment on, have considered commenting on, and then, decorum and thoughts of propriety have taken over, and I've said, I'll let it pass. But I'm not going to let it pass today. And when I say thoughts of decorum and propriety, it's because people died. These individuals are public servants trying to do their job, but I think they could do their job better. And I think that self-aggrandizement has become too much a part of this process. So I am going to address it. I am going to address it on television. It's going to be my opening commentary today, and I hope you'll be watching, and I'm sure it will get a lot of reaction. Hopefully some of it will be favorable. Only 4 teams remain in the college football playoffs. Semifinals January 9 and 10, and then the CFP National Championship on January 20. Geez, Donald Trump is not happy that the flags will be flying at, I hope I get it right. I'm going to say half staff. Staff or mast? I think staff. Because of President Carter's passing, I can only imagine now that Trump is not going to be happy that his swearing in is going to be on the same day as the college football national championship. Final 4 teams in the playoffs, and this is courtesy of my friends at Parks Casino. A $25 wager on the favorite Ohio State pays $20. That doesn't seem like much fun. $25 wager on Notre Dame pays $93.75. $25 wager on Texas pays $112.50. $25 wager on PSU, Penn State, pays $125. Then you've got Detroit Pro Football playing Sunday night, 2.5 point home fave against Minnesota. That seems light. I would think they would be a higher favorite. I may have to get in on that. Pro football playoffs begin next week. Have some fun. Have some skin in the game. Bet Parks and Play Gun Lake are the only apps that I ever use and recommend to bet sports and play all your favorite casino games for real money. Get some skin in the game, bet sports, play blackjack, craps, roulette. When there's downtime on the gridiron, have some fun, in your easy chair or the dental chair or wherever you might be. Play hot online slots as well, blackjack with a live dealer. They've got it all going on. PlayGunLake.com or BetParks.com for details. You got to be 21 and in Michigan for the Play Gun Lake app, 21 and in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, or Michigan for Bet Parks. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. As promised, the poll question today at Smerconish.com is whether you agree with James Carville, who says, I'm going to get this right because I like the way that he worded it. It was, it is, it always will be the economy. Stupid. So Carville, who famously in the Clinton years said it's all about the economy, predicted Kamala Harris would win the election, including on my show, and now is back with a New York Times essay, which I've defaced and defiled. I was wrong. Obviously, Harris did not win. And why was I wrong? I, of all people, should have known. It's still and will always be the economy. In fact, I love the final line of the essay. Thus it was, thus it is, and thus it forever shall be. It's the economy. And, many people are bummed out thinking that Carville is correct. One of the comments that was appended to the story was this: character, honesty, decency, intelligence, democracy. None of these seem to matter in our country when electing a president. I think that pretty much says it all. Is he right? And I know, of course, we're all going to say, and James Carville would say, that there was a lot going on, that it wasn't just the economy. But you've heard me say before that when I look at the 2024 cycle and I think about why did Trump win, and I'm of the opinion that Kamala Harris could not have defeated Trump in this cycle. Joe Biden, no one I could name could have defeated Donald Trump in this cycle. If you have a name, I'd love to see it. Put it up right now. I'd love to see who could have. It's just the moon and the stars lined up for Trump. And when I say the moon and the stars, maybe I shouldn't say that because that implies that it was all a natural occurring event. And it wasn't. It wasn't because of the condescension factor. It was the economy. It was immigration. And it was people being told you cannot vote for Donald Trump. By the way, will you like and subscribe this conversation? PJ at Creative Outfit. Thank you, PJ. Always reminding me, tell everybody to please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We've got lots of good content here. Man, we are cranking some great content and the new year is just underway. So please, some likes as the conversation proceeds. I would appreciate. So economy, yes. Immigration, yes. The level of condescension, which he addresses. I mean, Carville in his piece says we got to stop making Democrats. He's speaking to Democrats. I'm not one. But he says to Democrats, we've got to stop speaking so much about Donald Trump. Quote, this starts with how we form our opposition. First of all, we've got to stop making Trump himself our main focus. He can't be elected again. And furthermore, it's clear that many Americans do not give a rat's tail about Mr. Trump's indictments, even if they are justified, or about his anti-democratic impulses, or about social issues, if they cannot provide for themselves or their families. Like, all that other stuff is interesting, but if people are not putting food on the table, or if the food prices are too high, then nothing else matters. And then here's something else that will be a very difficult pill for Democrats to swallow. He says, vocally oppose the party, not the person or the extremism of his movement. I don't really agree with Wall Street, but Jamie Dimon was right when he said that Democrats railing against ultra MAGA was insulting and politically tone deaf. Denouncing other Americans or their leader as miscreants is not going to win elections. Focusing on their economic pain will, as will contesting Republican economic agenda. That's exactly what I mean when I say condescension. That's exactly what I mean when I say condescension. Geez, I have a mental block. Hillary, of course, said basket of deplorables in 2016. What did President Biden say in the waning days of this election that was akin to Hillary? Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't think of what it was. But Biden said something equally condescending. Trash. Is that what it was, Joe the Nerd? Did he call them trash? Yeah, I think you might be right. I think it was a trash comment that he made. Anyway, do you agree with James Carville when he says, in the end, it was the economy? We need to better message, Democrats, better message on the economy. He has a prescription in terms of how to do that. One central message must revolve around opposing Republican tax cuts for the wealthiest Americans. He also speaks about the need for Democrats to play a better game, recognizing the fragmentation and decentralized nature of the media, podcasts. To Democratic presidential hopefuls, your auditions for 2028 should be based on two things: how authentic you are on the economy and how well you deliver it in a podcast. Is he right? I think that he is. I'm saying that there's more to it than this, but that his basic premise is correct, because in the end, none of the other things matter. All of the talk of Trump being anti-democratic did not matter, and all of his personal characteristics did not matter. And largely in the end, it was like the economy first. Not, remember the aftermath of the Ann Selzer poll, which ended up being greatly mistaken in Iowa? And people thought then, wow, women are really going to come out. They're fired up. It's Roe versus Wade. It's Dobbs, the overturning of Roe. No. In the end, it was the economy. So go vote at Smerconish.com and tell me whether you agree with James Carville, who says that's what it is. The words. We lost for one very simple reason. It is, it always will be the economy. Stupid. Can I get a few more likes? Thank you so much. Hope you'll be watching on CNN, my maiden voyage of 2025. Back in the saddle, in the studio, getting my noggin powdered soon and ready to rock and roll, and I hope you'll be watching. Oh, I almost neglected to tell you. James Carville, the focus of today's poll question, is my guest on CNN today to go over different aspects of his opinion in this regard. All the better for today's poll question of the day. Snow's coming if you're in the Northeast. Actually, if you're like Kansas to the East Coast, in that, relatively narrow band, here it comes. So stay safe. Thank you, gang. I'll see you soon, I hope.